my favorite quotes, and I heard this about 20 some odd years ago, is from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He says, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." And this quote has gotten a lot of momentum over the last 20 years because it is, well, we love it. We love this quote. In spiritual circles, we just love talking about how we are infinite beings in a body, that we are spiritual beings here to have that human experience. But this quote really should be pasted on our fridge and our bathroom mirror. And we should read this every morning because it is a fantastic reminder of what it is we really are. We are really activity of the divine using a human body right now. But we don't always remember this. We can go through our entire day forgetting about this and instead getting focused on conditions that are going on in our lives and feeling like we are very, very much only human. Now, we are here in this life to be what we really are, which is a soul using a body. We are here to express our divine nature. We are here to be the light of God, the love of God, the power of God, and the presence of God. We are here to be the activity of God in this world. And when we are the activity of God in this world, we're calling forth the qualities of the divine into our everyday lives. And it's calling forth these qualities that give us a life where we're thriving and growing and experiencing the joy and bringing more good into this world. Now, the divine qualities, of which there are many, include courage and curiosity and compassion and mercy and generosity and creativity. Things like patience, right? Fortitude. These are all divine qualities, and they keep us growing no matter what's going on in this physical life around us. Calling forth the divine through us, for us, as us, it's how we grow, it's how we thrive. So today in my talk, I'll be talking about fate versus destiny. Fate versus destiny. Now, there is a slight difference between these two things, although usually, most people just use the words interchangeably. But fate over these last, I don't know, since I can remember actually, has gotten kind of this romantic definition to it. Like, well, it was my fate that we would connect this way. It was my fate or my karma, right? We kind of see it that way. Just for this next, few minutes that we're here together, I'd like you to see them in two different ways. Fate is what happens when we don't do anything different. Fate is we just let life happen. We sit and wait for things to change. We're a bystander in our own lives. Now, in destiny, we are participating in our life. We cannot be a bystander, right, if we're going to be in our own destiny. We are participating with life. To create our destiny, we make things happen. We make things happen. Meister Eckhart says, when the soul wants to experience something, she throws out an image in front of her and steps into it. Now, that's what we are. We are a soul using a body right now. We're using this body. It's giving us this great experience, but the body is not who we are. So as a soul, we are not designed to sit around and wait to see what happens next. We are designed to be what happens next. We are designed to be divine activity in this world. Now, fate does not ask us to change a thing. However, destiny requires us to up our game and do something different if we're going to step into that next brightest experience that we want to have. Another major difference between fate and destiny. In fate, we are just walking by sight. We're looking around at the conditions of our life and getting stuck in our problems, thinking, well, this all has to change before I can be happy. But in destiny, we are walking by faith. We do look around and observe our life, but we're asking, what do I need to do here? Right? Can this be changed? Do I rise above it? But see, when we are expressing our destiny or being in our destiny, we trust. We have total faith in what it is that works through us, for us, as us. And we know that we'll be guided. We will be guided. Now, everything that we do in our life every day, it either empowers us or it disempowers us. It either takes us toward the life experience that we want to create, or it takes us away from the life experience that we want to create. All of our choices every day are 100% influenced by our faith or our lack of faith. Now, when we are creating in our destiny, we have faith that no matter what is going on out here in our lives, we will be guided. But when we are not participating with our life, oh, it's fate, just meant to be, we don't believe that we are actually capable of getting what we need in our own life. We believe somebody else needs to do it for us, right? Like fix the conditions out there so we can be happy. Or we just think we have to get really lucky. Like we just have to get lucky. But see, every struggle that we have ever had is based on this belief that what we have is not available to us. Now, this is where the activity of grace comes in. I know I talk about grace a lot, but grace is the activity of God. It is a high voltage expression of the activity of God, of that power that works through us, for us, as us. It is this expression that makes growth and change and thriving possible. Now, grace is Spirit giving itself to each and every one of us. Whatever quality we happen to need, it is available to us. But grace is also the organizing force behind synchronicities. Grace is the force behind the way things work together for our good. So if you think about right now, the universe has lined up everything I need. That's grace doing that. That is that particular expression of God that we would call grace. Now, this is why grace is a high voltage expression of source. It's both a noun and a verb. We can be in a state of grace where we are receiving. We can also be a grace generator, where we are sending out the activity of grace into our lives for the benefit of other people. So you are a grace generator. You are a grace generator. Now, when we have faith in what it is that works through us, for us, as us, we are open and allowing to that force of grace in our lives, that as a guiding force leading us toward our greatest good, the next best experience. Doors are open to us. Obstacles, the way is made clear, right? We decide, we know, we either change or rise above, we go over, we go under, we go through it, we go around it. That's grace guiding us. We will feel supported. We will feel like the universe has our back. Now, grace is always available to us. But when we do not have faith, we won't trust the guidance that we are giving, or we may not even be aware of grace. And we will not utilize the gift of grace properly. We won't utilize it for our best good. For example, someone in like a struggle over money, they might receive a monetary gift, but without faith, they might misuse that monetary gift and instead think something along the lines of, well, I never get a big chunk of money like this. Maybe I should splurge on that thing that I really need, that I could never get in my ordinary life, right? That comes from a fear of not having enough. And this is one of the reasons why most lottery winners do not hang on to their winnings for more than a few years. They end up right back at that level of prosperity where they were comfortable before they won the lottery. So this is the gift of grace, like helping us to utilize what's in our life already in the best way possible, right? For our highest good, not utilizing things from a place of lack or a fear of not having enough. Now, faith, when we are in faith, we are totally trusting that everything will be okay. We just know it. We know it. We may not know where we stand on things, and we may not know exactly what to do when something challenges us, but grace will guide us through it. Grace will guide us. Now, one of the most revealing activities that we can examine every day in our day-to-day life to really see how we stand in faith, or are we in a lack of faith, is through how we give and receive. Another way we can really check our level of faith is when it comes to our own health issues. But you know what? I'm going to talk about money today, how we give and receive money. Most of the time we might think, oh yeah, my faith is pretty good, until somebody asks for money. like a church, right? Until, like, imagine a church. Like, here, if you're watching this, you're somehow involved with Unity. How would you feel if I asked you for money? Okay, would there be this wall, whoosh, that just goes up all of a sudden? Or would you think, oh, I don't want anybody asking for money, right? So, how we give and receive is very revealing in our own lives. And this is because of how most of us are brought up. We're taught to give till it hurts, and we're taught that it's better to give than receive. But we are also taught that what we give, we will get back tenfold. Christ said in the book of Luke, give and it will be given to you, good measure, running over as it is poured right into your lap. Right? So that's whatever you give, you're going to get that back, but in good measure, like more than you could imagine receiving back. And it will literally go right in your lap. It'll just be poured right into your lap. You don't have to do anything to get it. All right? Now, I took this literally. All right? I took this literally. I have gone through my, like, years and years of totally messed up prosperity thinking. And so I thought that this meant if I gave $25 on Sunday, then I would get $250 back. I took it literally. I thought, oh, okay, if I help my friend move, then they'll help me move when it's my turn to move, right? Well, you know what? That never happened, right? I've had many friends I've helped move, and most of them have not helped me or my family move. I've also cannot tell you how many times I threw $25 in this basket and I didn't get back my $250, right? I had to figure out it's not about what we are giving. It is about how we are giving. Deepak Chopra says in his book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, if through the act of giving you feel you have lost something, then the gift is not truly given and will not cause increase. Yeah. When I was giving that $25, that was a purchase. I was expecting a return on my investment. That's what I was doing. Every time we give, there's an energy behind our giving. There's an energy behind it. Are we giving with love, or are we giving with resentment or obligation? Okay? I've even given to charities and expected a windfall to come back from giving in that charity, right? Because I was giving out of obligation. Oh, well, they're struggling and I have something extra right now, so I'll just give it to them. Now, when all of that didn't work out for me, the literal getting something back tenfold, then I tried overgiving. I went through a phase of overgiving. I overgave the 10% of tithing, and I overgave my time. I overgave volunteering time. I mean, I fell into that black hole of volunteerism. I gave and I gave and I gave, and I was really mad about it. Like, I would talk about how I do so much and I'm not appreciated, right? And what I realized was I was overgiving because I wanted love and approval back. I wanted the attention. I wanted people to point their fingers and say, look at that Deanna. Like, she just gives so much. Oh my God, we're so lucky to have her here. I was overgiving because I was basically waving a flag. Said, notice me. Please notice me. Somebody notice me, and somebody please appreciate me. Now, if you look back over this last week, how did you give what you gave? How did you give? Did you give out of obligation and resentment? Did you give to get some approval or a big return on your investment? Or did you give out of excitement and appreciation and compassion? Did you give out of mercy? So it's not just what we're giving. It is how we are giving. So how we give money. This is why how we give our money, it shows us so much about our level of faith. Like, when I gave and had the expectation of a big return, or when I overgave, it was because I didn't have faith. I didn't have faith on what it was that was working through me, for me, as me, right? So, are we receiving back our tenfold? Like, how did we just give? How did we just give? We want to look at, are we giving out of obligation and impatience? Well, that's what we're going to receive poured back into our lap tenfold. More situations, to feel obligated and impatient? Or are we giving from appreciation and love? Because that is what is going to be poured back into our life tenfold, right? More situations in our life to feel appreciation and feel love. That's how we are getting back what we give. So our lives are always filled with more to resent or more to love and appreciate, more to be excited about. So back to fate versus destiny. Fate is what happens when we are in victim consciousness. Destiny is when we are participating with our life to call forth more of our divine nature, to call forth more of the greater good, right? This is the power of faith. But I also want to talk about receiving. Oh, because I was a terrible receiver once upon a time too. You know what? A lot of us are really bad receivers. We just are. It's like, no, I need to be giving. I just can't receive this right now. Now, the Apostle Paul, he did quote Jesus as saying it's better to give than receive. But this is also what Jesus says about receiving. Observe the birds of the sky, for they do not sow, neither do they harvest nor gather into barns, and yet your Father in heaven feeds them. Why do you worry about clothing? Observe the wildflowers, how they grow. They do not get tired out, nor do they spin. God clothes them in such a fashion. Is he not much more mindful of you, of little faith? Therefore, do not worry or say, what will we eat or drink or wear? For the worldly people seek after these things. Seek first the kingdom, and all these things shall be added to you. Now, at first, I have to admit, at first, this looks like a really terrible metaphor. Like, especially if somebody is really, really struggling. It looks like, at first glance, it looks like, don't worry about any of these things. Just let God do everything. Don't worry about that kind of stuff, or you won't be a spiritual person. You know, why are you worrying about getting food on your table? That's not very spiritual to think about those things, right? Just let God do all the work. What I had to really examine, though, is looking back at this. Okay, first of all, we're not birds. We're not flowers. Okay, the birds and the flowers, they're an expression of source energy, just like we are. Okay, but see, we have free will. They, however, are programmed to do what they do. A bird doesn't go to bed at night and think, you know, is this all there is? You know, a flower doesn't go to sleep at night and worry about like having dew the next morning, right? They're not worrying. They simply give themselves over to what created them. They give themselves over. They're not asking about, they're not asking questions. They're not worrying. Christ was not saying, let God do all the stuff, just sit back and wait for stuff to happen in your life. He was saying, seek first the kingdom of God, and then these things shall be added to you. Christ talked about the generosity of heaven a lot. Heaven is extremely generous, but we have to seek first our divinity. We have to line up with that first. That means we have to put ourselves in a state of faith and receive the grace, become those grace receivers, and then the grace generator. So we're not seeking after the clothes or the food or the drink, because that would be focusing on the problem. No, we seek first the kingdom. Then we have grace poured forth through us. And then what we need, we're guided to do that next thing. We will be guided towards solutions. Fate versus destiny. Again, fate does not ask us to change anything. Just stay in our comfort zone. Just keep doing what we do. But destiny requires to change up what we do. Destiny requires us to look at how we do what we do. Imagine you were in a big, brand new 2-story house. Now, would you sit on the first floor and just think, wow, I wonder what's up there? Well, I guess if I was meant to be, God would just put me up there on the second floor. That's being in fate. Destiny is being in that house on the first floor and thinking, I wonder what's up there. I wonder what's up there on the second floor. I'm going to find a way to get up there. And then you find the stairs and you go upstairs. You do that. That's the power of faith in our life. Right? We surrender to the divine within. And remember, like, we are a spiritual being in a body. So we live as a spiritual being in a body. We live it. Yes, we are here to have a human experience. And you know what? We are here to get really, really good at surrendering to the divine working through us, for us, as us. We're here to get really good at that. We're here to get really good at casting our burdens, stopping focusing on our problems and instead focusing on the wonder that is God. So fate versus destiny. This is really a talk on faith. This is really a talk on faith because we have to live in faith if we want to live our destiny. Because we're all of the good that comes through our life, we're growing the good through us. We're growing it. We're the ones creating fertile ground for more good to grow. So faith is knowing that the universe is providing everything you could possibly need. It's lining up everything you need to assist you. It's lining it up right now, right? That's an affirmation right there. The universe has everything I could possibly need lined up to assist me now. Now, I've had people tell me, I'm not going to go to a church that talks about money. I'm not going to go to a church where they're talking about putting money in that basket on Sundays. And I used to take that to heart and think, okay, oh my God, I'll never talk about money. I will never talk about money. And you know what? That's doing a disservice to everybody because money is our number one indicator of where our faith is, right? Our health is the other indicator, but money, that's the number one indicator of where our faith is. If somebody's really worried that a church is going to ask them for money, that's an indicator that their faith is not as strong as they were thinking it was 5 minutes before somebody asked them for money. Okay, remember, Christ talked about the generosity of heaven. Now, he was preaching to a society that had way less opportunities than us. But he did say, even back then, he said that we are designed to live abundantly. He said that. I came not just so you would have life, but so you would have it abundantly. Abundantly. It's not about what it is we're giving, it's how we are giving what we give. And it's how we receive what we are receiving. It's also about our boundaries. Okay, we are in a lack of faith if we do not let other people know what our boundaries are. This is where the power of assertiveness comes in. The power, being assertive in our own lives, it really empowers us and strengthens our faith. Okay, when we assert our own boundaries, all right, that's just saying, okay, no thanks, not right now. I wish I could, but I don't want to. Okay, that's our assertiveness. When we are in faith and we are assertive and we set very clear boundaries for other people, it doesn't matter if our church asks us for money. It doesn't matter if we're out at the store and there's a solicitor out there asking for money, right? If there's another indicator right there, if you run away from a solicitor, okay, if you walk all the way around a huge parking lot to avoid having to say no to a solicitor, then you just might not have as much faith as you think you do. Just something to think about. Because that assertiveness comes with our deep faith. No thanks. No, I'm not going to give today. It doesn't feel right. Okay? Do we have faith? Do we have faith that God is the source of our supply? Right? Do you? Do you have faith that God is the source of your supply? And being the source of your supply, it doesn't mean stuff magically appearing in your life. Right? God being the source of our supply, we align with the divine within us, and then we take action on however it is we're guided. And we call forth more good through us, for us, as us. Right thinking leads to right action. We can't only do right thinking. We cannot only do right thinking. I tried. It doesn't work. Right thinking must be followed by right action. So without faith, we are in fate and we are reacting to life. When we have faith, that changes what we do next. When we are full of faith, we're not afraid to give, even when we could perceive that our resources seem a bit limited. But when we are in faith, that doesn't scare us because we know God is the source of our supply. When we are in faith, we don't have a need to overgive to be loved and approved of. So we don't have to overgive. We just have faith in how the universe works through us, for us, as us. What we're called to give will be available. And we'll receive that what we give tenfold back. So I ask you to, this week, just look at how are you giving? Are you overgiving to get approval? Or are you underestimating what you can give because you are worried? How are you receiving? Does somebody just give you a compliment? Okay, I love your hair. Your hair looks so fabulous today. Oh, what? I haven't washed it in like a week and I just woke up and, No, how did you just receive something? Right? How did you receive a compliment? Remember, receiving can feel harder than giving. It can. Being a good receiver is like, well, thank you so much. My hairdresser helped me out a little bit with it. You can say that. So how are we giving? With love, with enthusiasm, with joy, then that is what we're receiving back tenfold. More experiences to have of loving and appreciating and feeling joy. We receive back even more to celebrate, even more to enjoy, right? When we receive and we accept those compliments with appreciation, right? That's how we are really getting into this flow of giving and receiving. And that is how we step into our destiny, because we are bursting with faith, right? We are grace generators. We're embodying faith. We're receiving all the good that grace could bring, all of the good that heaven can pour upon us. And that is how we are creating heaven on earth. That is how we're doing it. There's nothing holy, nothing spiritual about being stuck in lack and limitation. We create heaven on earth by being generous givers and gracious receivers. So, until next time, remember, you were designed to receive and to give this high voltage gift that we call grace, which always guides you toward your next brightest experience. And the way is made open for you. And everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. So it is.